Hello and welcome back. My name is Tom Stark, and here on our channel we're trying to get you to understand how easy it is to build a professional website using Joomla 4 and SP Page Builder. Now, you may have never used a page building tool before. You may have never seen of or heard of Joomla 4. But Joomla is a very powerful content management system. SP Page Builder makes it easy to create professional websites that are incredible and fast, and something you will be proud to build. This week, again, we're going to take a look at the text box. Except this week we're going to look at the Style tab. And in the Style tab, we get to do some fun and creative things to really make our text boxes pop out from our web pages. So let's get right into it. Okay, well, here we are back in our page that we have been working on, and kind of right where we left off last time. A couple of things I did want to show you before we get into the Style tab up here is anytime you're over here and you hover over something and it becomes light blue, you can change those right here by clicking and dragging. Now, if you notice, it's telling you that it is 50 pixels and it's unlocked, which means it's unlocked from the 50 pixels down here. If we were to lock this, you'll notice they're both locked. And now when I move this up and down, they both move together. If I unlock them, I can make this one bigger and this one smaller. But if you lock them together, it will, they'll jump to the same height size. Same thing left and right. If you lock these in and you drag them in and out, and you let it go, you'll have your spacing here. If you unlock them, you can move just the left. Suppose you need the left a little bit more or a little less, you can move that. But basically, if we move these out to like 50 top and bottom, and left and right. There we go, 50 space around. One other thing I would like to show you before we get into the styling tab is, suppose you really like the layout of this box and you just need to change the content for another section of your page. What you can do is you can here, come up to here, this is the editing button, this is the duplicate button, this is the save it, which we'll get into at the very end of all of this. You can hide it. When you see the gray lines, it's not going to show. You can make it the parent column, or you can delete it, or parent it to the column, I should say. So let's duplicate this, and now we have two of them, right? But we don't really want two of the same exact thing. If you come up here to this left corner and you see the cursor changes to 4 arrows, and you drag it anywhere else on the page, you now have two boxes that you can come in here and say, change this to our second text box. And we can come in here and say, this is line 4, this is line 5, I must have missed this one, 4, 5, and 6. And there we go. Oop, we misspelled second here. Come over here, I capitalized it. And then maybe on this one, we want the color to be pure red, which would be FF and then 4 zeros. And there you go. You have just duplicated this. Now you can change this section. If for some reason you don't want a title here, you can obviously just come up here and so if we copy this, and once again, it only changed the title section. It did not change the admins. We'll copy and paste that up here. But then if you don't want the title here, you just highlight it and delete it. And next thing you know, you just have text, one on top of the other, or you can put it back in here and have our text. Okay, let's move on to the styling tab. Styling tab has a lot of fun stuff. So right now our text color is black. The next thing down is the link color that's not hovered. So let's make that black as, you know what, let's make this a nice blue. Okay, that's more purple. Let's get this down into the blues a little bit. There we go. And then we want the hover color to be, I don't know, we're going to just pick something just to show it off. We're going to make it green. Okay, these are awful colors. Please don't use these colors. But you notice nothing is hovering. So if we go back to our text box and we say, let's grab this word here, and we want to make it a link that goes to just a hashtag, which means it won't go anywhere, and say save, and then save. We should now see that our text became blue, and when we hover over it, it turns green. So the styling tab is, the text color is the text of the block. The link color is the link color that's not hovered, and then the link hover color is right there. Now you have this all white page, right? But suppose you want this section to really stand out. There's a couple things you can do within the text box itself. One thing we can do is we can add a color, and sometimes you just want to add like a really light gray just to make it stand out a little bit, you know? And then when you do that, you realize that, man, everything's banging right up against the edge of this. One of the things you can do is, so right now there's 0 margin top, 0 margin right, 30 pixel margin at the bottom, which is what we're seeing up here as well, then 0 here, because margin is everything outside the text box. Okay, and to show this, how this works, we're actually going to put a border on it. So we're going to put a border of 1 pixel. We'll make the color black and the border style solid. So now we have this, you see how everything is just butt up right up against it, right? And once again, you can turn the border on and off at your will. But let's get some breathing room in here. We do this with padding. Now, currently the padding is locked, which means anything I put in here, it's going to put it in all 4 places, 10, 10, 10, 10, which isn't bad, well, on a text box. But suppose you want a little more room top and bottom. All you have to do is unlock this and maybe make this a 20 and make this a 20. Now there's a little more room top and bottom, but left and right is staying at 10, which is nice. If you like those paddings on the tablet and on the computer, on the phone, I mean, then you are more than welcome to leave them there. But suppose on the phone we don't really want this extra spacing up here, because on the phone real estate is at a prime. So on the phone we want them all to be 10 pixels, and there we go. On the phone it's moving up. Another thing I want to show you is a trick I learned, and we're gonna remove this 30 pixel margin at the bottom, but we're gonna remove it from this one. So we're gonna come into here, come into the styling, and see this 30 pixel here. So there's a little shortcut that I learned. I'm sure it's built in on purpose, but right now it's unlocked because you have different values in the 4 margin areas. If you were to come and lock this, any of the boxes that you click on, put it at the end of the value, and you hit space, it'll make them all the same exact one. Okay, so once again, if we come in here and we say 0, we'll make them all 0. Unlock this, make this a 30. And suppose you don't want this 30 here. This saves me so much typing by locking it and just doing this. And now the spacing disappears at the bottom. So we're back on here, getting back into the styling. We've seen how to use a border. There are different border styles. You can double outline it, which for some reason is not working. I don't know why. You can dot it, which is really, really, oh, I bet you if we took our and made it 4 wide, there you can see dots. If we go back to double, Now that we're bigger, we can see double, and then come in here and go dashed. But typically our borders are all solid or none. And this is really big for a border, so I don't like mine ever really more than 2, so we're going to go back down to 1. The other thing you can do with your border radiuses, with your borders, is add a radius to them. Suppose you want some nice rounded corners in here. Well, on the computer, we can give it a 50 radius. That's a little big. Let's make it a 30 radius. Well, that's better. On the tablet, we're going to make it a 20 radius. And then on the phone, we're going to make it a 10 radius. That's pixels, by the way. 10 over, 10 down, 20 over, 20 down on a tablet, 30 over, 30 down, and now we have a different radius for each device. You can put a box shadow on, and currently it is set to white and no settings to it. So let's suppose we want to make this look like it's popping off the page here a little bit. Let's come down here and set this to black. You still don't see anything. Horizontal offset, anything bigger than 0 will go in this direction. Vertical offset, anything bigger than 0 will go in this direction. So let's make this a 10 and a 10. And you notice that it drops down. But we can also go minus 10, and it'll pull it over that side, and minus 10 here, and it's pulling up here. But we'll go back to 10 and 10. 10 and 10. And then you get a blur. So blur kind of does exactly what it says. It kind of blurs it to make it look softer. So we'll put it like a 15 blur. And then the spread kind of brings it everywhere it is. Now it spreads out from where it is. So right now we have a 0 spread. So one of the things about drop shadows is they're supposed to be subtle. And right now this is really, really harsh. And we have this solid black shadow. So when you're in here, you select your color again. And here is a transparency slider where you can actually see a change in real time. And suddenly we have this nice little drop shadow for this to really pop out. Now, because this is gray and this is gray, it's really kind of offsetting itself. So if we were to come up here and say make the background color, I don't know, let's do something crazy like yellow. Okay, so now this looks like it's popping off, or we can just change this back to white. And now we have this white card that's kind of popping off the back of the page. The other thing you can do to try to make it look like there's a glowing outside is to make your horizontal and verticals both 0. And notice now it's popping out of all sides. Let's make it a little darker so you can see it. See, now it's kind of popping off the whole thing. And then we can change this to make it come out even a little bit more. And now once we're this big, we're a little too dark. So we can come in here and say, there we go. And now it has this nice outer glow to it. So the Style tab of the text box gives you a lot of options to do. The other thing you can do is enable animations. Enable animations on it, which allows you to have it fade in. Did you see it fade in there? And we'll change the time to 1000, and we're going to change the delay to 500. And you see it come in. You can change the animations to fade in from the left, fade in up, any of these if you prefer to do that. Just so you know, it will only do it the first time somebody scrolls down to where this reveals. Once it does it once, it will not keep repeating. That's what interaction's for, and we're going to talk about that in the next session. But right now, we're going to turn that off. Remember I talked in the last section about, or in the last tutorial about CSS and and being able to customize just this text box. Well, here's where you can do that. Okay, now there's a couple of ways you can look at what you want to change, okay? And there's a way to do this. So if we look at this, if we go back to our title, we happen to know that is an H2 element. Now we're getting into CSS here, but I just want to show you something really cool. So suppose we say we want the H2 element, okay, and then when you're in CSS, you open and close curly brackets. And come down here, give ourselves some space, and we want to say we want it all the way over to the right. We can, without changing all the settings on the front side, we can go float right. And what that does is it moves our title over, but it also allows our text to wrap around it. Okay, so we got a little concern there because when I put the float right on the H2 here, it also pulled it over here, but I opened up our front page and right here, we have the float right here, text running around it, and this one stayed normal. So whenever you put anything in this custom CSS, it will only affect the element that you're putting it in. Another thing that will help you with this, if you don't already know about this, some of you may not, it's very common, but if you highlight anything on a website, suppose we want to look at this and we want to say this line, and you right-clicking and you look at the inspector console. The inspector console comes up and shows you what CSS is formatting what line. So right now, this line here is there. This line here would be line 2, line 3. But line 1 right here, the only thing that's being affected right now is the LI. There's no styling on it at all. But suppose we wanted to look at the LI, the line item, and we wanted to customize that. So we want to just look at all the line items, or list items, I'm sorry, not line items, list items. And we want to say LI. Open the bracket up. Close the bracket, and then come in here and say color, which is the text color, purple. And close it, and now you notice when we save this, that on this, the colors are purple, but this one it is not, because it's only affecting these 3 lines. And actually, if I highlight this again and I say inspect it, you're going to see that the LI is being told to change the color to purple. So it's really cool that there's something you want to do to one block, or something that you don't want to do. You want to do to one page, but don't want to do it on every single page. Using this custom CSS will really, really come in handy above everything else you can already do in the styling of the text box. So that's it for now. Once again, if you found this video helpful, please give us a like, give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our page. We're going to be doing more and more tutorials in SP Page Builder. It is an incredibly powerful tool. And if you have any questions or comments or something you would like me to cover, please leave it in the comments below. And I will make sure that I address that